time, I have the time as 6:34, so I will call the work session of the Mayor and Council for the City of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, June 9th to order. We have a quorum, everyone is here. First, we'll go through the regular business meeting. Bobby Howard has agreed to do the invocation. I think CJ Pitt's gonna be here for the pledge. Under ceremonial matters, Kelly McAloon's gonna be here to present the check from Run the Wagon to the South Gwinnett Custer Foundation. And then we have our other little. Then we'll have the minutes, no invited guests. Under new business, we've got the budget. Any questions or anything on the budget before we get on? No, if I could just, I loaded up my agenda packet and it's not showing up in here.
Did you want to go through the budget line by line there?
Yeah, I thought we could spend.
I know I did.
A few minutes.
I think we're spending too much on magazines in that planning department.
We have some magazines all digital.
Okay, then we have the ordinance to amend the solid waste ordinance 2025-12 to allow us to set a user fee. Any questions on that? And then we have the resolution to set the user fee for this year.
I have kind of a personal question about
Yes,
that one. You know, we own the lot that our house is on, but then we also own the lot next to it that's unbuildable because of the stream that goes through there. Now, it said if that's added to our property taxes, are we gonna get it added to both lots?
It should only be for the one that you're having sanitation.
Okay.
When you live in it.
When she had trash picked up at the end of your lunch.
The one we live
Either
at.
when you live in it.
Yeah.
We're going through the digestion.
Okay, okay, we were just thinking about that today, because we thought, boy, with our half a trash cart full every week, you know?
For you, this is a benefit because you're going from paying for trash for that adjacent lot. Sure.
Yeah.
That's actually cutting your cost. Yeah, I mean, I would expect maybe on something like that, there could potentially be
We're
some
going through
problems,
the digest.
but we would already have them on the building.
No, we have to
Line by
go through the
line, this is
digest
doing it,
and
okay.
make sure no commercial property is gonna get the charge, no vacant properties are gonna get the charge. And some of the properties are like duplexes or quadruplexes, so we have to make sure they get the correct number of charges, so there's.
Yeah, they've been doing it, working on it for months.
So, you know, we're trying our best to make
We
sure.
were just curious, since we get 2 property tax bills.
No, we're trying to make sure we just hit residential properties. So if we do make a mistake, we ask
Oh,
for
we'll let
forgiveness
you
now. Yeah. We are working very hard. Daniel is working very hard.
Okay, and then, we have item D, which is the ordinance 2025-13. If y'all remember, that's where we're striking that one paragraph. In the ordinance. That is deemed to be unconstitutional. Then we have, you want to talk about the waste management increase?
This is just our annual, our annual increase, control price index increase, waste management for sanitation services for commercial, not residential, but commercial. And we typically, go back and forth with 2% seems reasonable. And so we assuming you guys approve that, then David will begin to amend our current rates, and we pass that rate on to that increase on to the businesses.
Nice.
Yeah.
She just said something too. I got her consulting advice already.
Okay, and then after that, it's just reappointments to, all the boards. All right, any other questions on the regular meeting? Any correspondence? I forwarded an email, a calendar invite to y'all. I wasn't sure if you guys were on that. It was for ribbon cutting for the able autism.
Yes,
Were you on it originally?
yes.
I don't know.
I
Okay.
had done that before.
Okay. I just saw it was a calendar invite and it was just the meeting, so I wanted to make sure everybody got that. Any city attorney, or did you have any correspondence? City attorney? All right, on to discussion items. We have a discussion at security at Bristol Park. I did ask for Brian and the chief to help me with a statement to read for tonight, so I was planning on reading that at the beginning of the meeting instead of waiting for the report. It pretty much follows along with the statements that we've issued and then, some of what we're doing out there at the park.
And Mayor, I sent you a text real quick just to make sure in that statement it says next week or last week, just.
Yeah, I said recently.
Okay.
I just changed that. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Did you kind of review everything that we're doing there?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, that's,
I know what
As
was in
much.
the statement.
Yep. Matt, do you want to start with kind of where we are on the things that we've talked about?
Yes, so there are a handful of I guess, actions we are taking right now to increase security at the park. The first thing, and hold up, Lisa kind of chime in on this, the last couple of years we have used a private security company for the first month. The pool is open at the pool, and we kind of taper it off and use it on holidays, July 4th, those kind of things. Just to help keep things a little calmer there. Lisa's been in contact with that company, and we're hopeful, Lisa, this week.
Yeah, I haven't gotten contact yet, but they, said pretty much they can cover, all the weekends through the summer, and they will have what he calls the supervisor's vehicle, which is just a marked vehicle, that they will use. They'll still be on foot and the car, but at least when they're on foot, the car will be there and it'll be a marked car, so. So he agreed that that is something that they can do.
So hopefully next weekend we'll see that private security at the park with the car. Meanwhile, our police officers, our PD have been driving through
Yes.
the park. You'll see them there. Greg, what's it called when they keep their lights on?
Cruise lights.
Cruise lights. So you'll see kind of their blue cruise lights are on. So they're very
I
easy to
noticed
see.
that, sweeping the park.
And just that, we're gonna be sweeping the park again this week, and then and next week will begin tapering off after that, where you'll see them, not all day, but you may see them a few hours, and then kind of will gradually decrease. Right. And then a group of us met with a flock camera representative about different cameras and locations, and where we can put those cameras for security purposes, and they're working on a proposal that they'll share with us on the number of cameras and the cost and locations. And we'll review that and when we get that, what that will be. And then today the PD sent us a kind of a lighting assessment of what we call the Snell side of the park, where the first incident happened with the group of teenagers there. There's some poorly lit areas there, and so we'll continue to review that this week and get in touch with Walt and EMC on what's possible to go down there. Lighting will be a little bit tricky you want enough light there to be able to see things, but at the same time, you don't want so much light there that it becomes inviting, and you don't want so much light there that it becomes an issue for the folks around. But nevertheless, we need to look into that and see what we can do. The presentation actually has a video. I was trying to watch the video, and I couldn't even see anything. I guess that's the point. Yeah. You really can't even. I had my blinds open and it was sun shining, but even then it was, I couldn't really make out much movement at all there. So we'll continue to work on that, and I think that is, so those 4 things, so private security, extra patrols at the park, lighting assessment, and security cameras, and all of those things are in motion. So we get that information and certainly pass it along to you all to make decisions on how to do and the cost.
Matt, can I?
Yeah, of course.
Extra thing? Also, what Flock can provide, if we pay for it, obviously, is gunshot detection. So they can put up gunshot detection monitors. You can get those at the park, both at the main area of the park and over there on Snell Drive. And the way that works is, we don't have to wait for somebody to call. If someone starts shooting, we'll get an immediate alert at dispatch, and any officer that has the city on phone. So they'll get the immediate alert if there's gunshots at the park, so they can respond immediately. Also, the technology on the cameras, it has the ability to pan tilt zoom, and it actually has 2 cameras on each camera set, so you can actually face the cameras in opposite directions and watch 2 ways at the same time. And it also will pick up an alert on anybody that's there after hours, any alert groups, anybody that's yelling fighting words or their broken glass. So it picks up on all those things and starts sending out alerts to the police department. So it's really high tech. And one issue that we've been trying to research with the different agencies in Gwinnett County, nobody uses any kind of software for basically drudging social media and trying to find intelligence. They all do it through just regular persons typing in the search bars. But there are some software programs out there, and we're going to research those too.
That would pick up on if groups of kids are planning.
It would just give us intelligence if somebody's making a threat, because it wouldn't have to be necessarily at the park. Somebody could be making a threat at one of our schools or at one of the businesses. So I mean, people would be making a threat. I'm going to go shoot this person, go shoot that person, and that kind of software should pick up on that kind of
It
stuff.
sounds like a worthwhile.
Yeah, but well, I'm not sure how much it costs. So it might be cost prohibitive. Could be millions of dollars. We probably can't afford that.
So Gretchen, what's happening now is the county has, analysts that sit there and they just look at all that stuff to try to find somebody to send a threatening message about an event or, if this is July 4th event, whatever, saying I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna bring my automatic rifle. And then they pinpoint that. What Technology Greg's saying is the algorithm kind of does all that. You don't have someone whose whole job is to scroll through social media posts and everything from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the different outlets that you have now. Yeah, it's quite an endeavor.
It could be quite interesting depending on who's
Well,
great.
what you find, yeah. Will we have any kind of signs at the park saying we are using video surveillance, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have to, right?
Man, I think it was the first one that brought that up, is to really publicize that their cameras are up there, so people, we want them to see the cameras.
Yeah.
So we want it for the people that want to feel more safe. We also want it for anybody that wants to do anything, they just go somewhere else, so they're not on camera.
Yeah, good.
We'll certainly be checking into these cameras, but we don't have the capacity for someone to literally sit there, monitor, and watch all day. So surveillance is a little bit different. Surveillance is kind of actively watching. It's really more for if something does happen, we've got footage. So for instance, when we had the issue that happened at night, because it's so poorly lit, you can see. There's no camera there, but can't see who's who, what's going on. So you're kind of relying on witnesses and that sort of thing, but if people aren't willing to share what they saw, you're kind of limited with what you can do.
Did you ever identify, I don't want to name, but did you ever identify the shooter in that
For the first event,
incident with the first incident?
without going into too much, we have several good leads, but as far as names go.
Yeah, okay.
one of the things that, there was a presentation to STAT that a couple of us sat in on that uses location monitoring of devices, basically phones. And using geofencing can tell you how many people came to an event and various things like that. I'm fairly certain the same technology could be used to create an alert when you have 60 people in a small area over a period of time. I had cleared my browser history, or closed down the browser where I pulled up some information on that. I'll give it to you.
I spoke with Matt and Mercy about that last week after we had talked. And Mercy said they used something at Sugar Hill, I think, but, and you have the company Placer or something like that?
So there are a couple of different companies that offer similar data on that. Jan Harris also did a deeper dive. She's worked with Placer AI, and the bulk of the information we came back from is that it's often most effectively used after the fact to tell us where people are visiting from or how many total people during a time period. There are some products that get closer to what you're speaking to, but frankly require constant data management and confirmation and having a dedicated person to reach what we're talking about. Is that accurate to everything we're talking
So
about?
what you're describing, Pat, I think we've seen more in economic development circles than law enforcement circles. As far as,
Right.
ways people to say, well, 100,000 people visit the site a year, sort of thing. And we know that because we're able to kind of use this geofencing Placer AI data to kind of track the comings and goings, more or less, of
Right, I know Placer AI and one of the others that I looked into aren't real time, so.
But we feel like this flock stuff is gonna be, the sensors that, everything from glass breaking to, you can even do elevated voices. We said at a park, we think it's great because you've got people cheering and playing and
Yeah.
But even that.
Home run and the police are there to celebrate. Yeah.
So that technology is going to continue to be there, and we certainly can look at things. We kind of talked about PD having access to rec desk, we kind of know what's going on at the park. That if there is an issue, we can look at the schedule and kind of see, oh, so and so was renting this pavilion, or this group is using this field, or that sort of thing, and it does help with putting that puzzle together. And we feel good. Go ahead.
If there is, say, a party of like older age kids at the pool, do we require adult supervision?
So Lisa, was it anyone under 17 and under?
Under 16, they have to be accompanied by an adult.
Okay.
And I think you told me as well that y'all were, you and the chief and Lisa are working on like after action.
Yes.
Should something like this happen in the future where we need to close the park, that we've got roles and responsibilities delineated.
And that was one thing of feedback got from parents of children who were at the park, is that the police, when they arrived, emergency, when they arrived, all concentrated just on the site of the incident. And there wasn't, they didn't feel there was a relay of information to them that you can get up off the ground, everything's okay. If you have video, give it to us or send it to us. Please disperse, everything. They wanted somebody to come and
Like an all clear.
yeah, let them know that they're okay, because otherwise they sit there and shelter in
Because
place.
they're thinking school system training.
Yes.
That's what happens. Everybody has to.
I appreciate that feedback. On the first shooting, that didn't happen because almost everyone ran. So, when I arrived, there weren't that many people still left in the area of the shooting, so. But I appreciate the feedback.
Okay, anything else on that? Ongoing projects?
So if you all can refer to your little packet of information that I've given you, we'll kind of run through some of the attachments and things as part of the update. But for the town center, Supplyable is having their grand opening on June 12th, 3 o'clock. I believe Brian sent everyone information on that. If you're able to attend, we'd love to be there. They have a soft opening this weekend. I'm assuming that went well, because they're still moving forward with their event on the 12th. Cricket Can, they're still moving through all their individual vendors. They're the ones they have signed up. I'm seeing some plans that they're floating that they need to get permits for, that they'll begin the interior build out there. There's activity at Parkside, there's activity at the Taqueria, and there's activity at thank you, the number of restaurants, there. So things are moving. From a staff perspective, so Jan and Mercy, Brian, Jason have been working really hard on the entertainment district. And looking at that, it's been some time since we established those boundaries. So we need to relook at those and engaging in some branding exercises for the entertainment district. So I want to let Mercy give you a little bit of overview. So it's in, before we do that, sorry, let me back that up. Before we do that, I put in your packet, Chief and David, Mercy and I met with a striping company to look at some striping on what we call Sawyer Drive at the Grove. So that's the shorter street that terminates into what we call the Library Plaza, the library and the Tom. And you take a left and you go inside the deck there. We have had, issues, if I could kind of hold this up. So, we've had issues with folks so this is the entrance to that parking here. So Tomlin's right here where folks walk in to kind of go to the office. So folks parking here, one of the biggest offenders of that, it will probably be the biggest offender of that is post office. They'll park there for hours while they're sorting the mail and delivering it, and it just causes a problem for ingress and egress on that side. So the solution to that, and then you kind of come out here, and because Amazon trucks can't really fit in the deck, a lot of them park, kind of right here. And so you're coming out and you're faced with a big delivery truck right there. And what you're looking at is kind of our solution to try to help with some of that, to get people out of the way, more or less, right? I think you all recall, when we originally were thinking of this street, this area here was really meant to kind of be the pickup drop-off, we even talked about a ride share kind of kiosk in that, like a covered little porch where someone could wait for their Uber or their Lyft or whatever that would pick them up and kind of circle on and go. And it's kind of turning a little bit more to people parking there, running into something with a Tomlin and running back out. It creates an issue with folks getting in and out. And so this is what we've kind of come up with, that we stripe it yellow, something that we can enforce. If someone was parking there and the Tomlin called and said, "Hey, PD, we need someone to need someone out here to move these folks along," that this is what we would need to kind of do to do that. We talked about maybe making this a delivery zone here, so Amazon trucks, other folks could just park right there and not block the kind of the exiting of folks there.
Is that two parking
It
spaces?
is. So we kind of line out one of them and then do a yellow stripe, but also write delivery zone on
Right,
asphalt.
right, I'm just worried about
Yeah.
a mail truck that's there for 2 hours
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. 'Cause, the USPS truck is a challenge. We get feedback from folks at Tomlin that it'd be great if we could give them a designated spot at the parking deck. We're saying 750 spots. It's not an issue. The challenge is if someone parks in that designated USPS spot, you know, we're not gonna tow them out of that. We don't tow people out of public parking, right? So, you know, you give the USPS a dedicated spot near the tunnel when someone parks there. All right, well, what are we doing there? Well, then they do someone else on the deck. Do they come out here? Do they go back to their spot and then the police come? They have to usher them on. I mean, giving them a spot is just not as simple of a solution as I think people think it is, because our ability to tow people is extremely limited. You know, it basically has to be a junk vehicle, inoperable, abandoned. You know, even then we try to make contact with folks to come and get it before we get to that spot. So, you know, the point I'm making, I guess, is, you know, this is not foolproof. I mean, it's not gonna correct everything, you know, but at least it shows that we're trying to get people out of the way, and treat it like a, you know, an actual street, you know, and not a place where you can kind of park and hang out, park and walk in. I mean, you gotta go on the deck sometimes, you gotta walk in there, you gotta come
I
in.
think it gives us a place to start from, and then we see what new problems occur after this happens.
Yeah. I just want you all to know, you know, once we put paint on the ground, that's pretty permanent.
As
You
long
know,
as-
once it's
as-
there, you know, it's there.
Since we're talking about restriping
Yeah.
an area, one of the things that I had an issue with, when I had a handicap sticker, there's only 2 handicap spaces immediately at that library. It would be really great if we could make a 3rd instead of having that angled space there. Because I'd say 95% of the time when I went over there, those spaces were taken. And they're just, you know, it's hard, and I know there's plenty in the deck, but to walk from the deck as a handicap, or if you're, you know, if you have a walker, like I had at the time, to the library is a bit. And I've got to admit that I was one of those parkers over here in the no parking area sometimes, I know. Because that was the only way I could really do what I needed to do.
What, was that on camera?
I'm sure it was, because that seems to be my luck. But I know one space is not really huge, but can we do that since we're gonna do a different, you know, project? Would it cost, I would hate, you know, bring them out just for that one thing, but
Yeah, let me ask the striping company, I don't know if the angle, if you do it that way, you back out. You know,
Right.
so for instance, I'll just give you one quick example, you know, on the road improvement project north of Wisteria, we had a property owner that said, well, can you know, as part of our negotiations, can you kind of take out this island, I want to put an extra spot there. He said, well, you put a spot there, they're backing out into another car, I mean, you know, there's a reason why the island is there, because
Right.
parking is maximized. So let me ask them if there's a way that, you know, do that where if you're not backing up into.
Well, if you just did this one space.
Well, there's only one more space left.
right.
Or I guess
Well,
this one too.
yeah, I
But,
don't
you know,
know.
I just want to make sure that,
We can check with ADA stuff.
Yeah, one of the issues that comes up is there's a number of people who are disabled that don't have limited mobility.
sure.
And maybe we make those spaces limited mobility rather than.
There's no distinction.
There's no
I'm talking about,
I'll ask, I just
I'm
want to
talking
make
about
sure
the
that we
2
can fit
angled
those.
spaces.
Right.
I don't think the ADA allows for that. They don't allow you to classify it.
Well, just because they're labeled handicap doesn't mean only handicapped people park in them, just like if it's labeled limited mobility. It's not like there's a penalty, but maybe
There is a
people.
penalty if you park.
Right, but if it just says
The
limited
ADA, yeah.
you know, reserved for limited
Oh,
mobility.
you mean without ADA?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Just
It's just a sign up, and Good Samaritans won't park there, but other people.
Right.
They're like that, reserved for the pregnant woman at the.
One space, and they don't need it anymore, but yeah.
I mean, your point, it makes sense. You're doing
I
it. Makes
I can
sense doing that.
support what Christie says after you've had spinal surgery.
Well, I wonder if we
Walk
could
more
do,
than a
if
couple
we did that
steps.
one, can we take away
I couldn't have made it from the parking
handicap
deck.
in the parking deck and free it up for regular parking spots?
More the better.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
So that we're keeping the same.
Get
Sure.
another one in the deck.
But to your point, I mean, if we ever start a company out there, it makes sense to
Yeah.
do it
To
next.
see if it can
You
be
know,
done.
yeah,
Right.
you see what can be done. Okay. So I just want you all to be aware of that. I mean, we're trying to address these issues, be sensitive to that.
So will that be labeled no parking, or will that be labeled no parking, pickup and drop off only?
Yeah, that's another question that Bruce and I were discussing. I mean, we could certainly do that. I mean, I think it's a matter of, you know, how much we want signage around there.
Mhm.
You know, do we want a bunch of signage, striping it yellow just seemed a little bit easier to kind of
Okay.
allow enforcement without a bunch of signage.
If you put up no parking,
but-
loading and unloading, you've got mom running into the park, pulling up there and running in to find her 3 kids that are all over the
Oh, I know.
library.
I know.
Because they're picking up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Or they're.
we can tweak it as we move forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't throw up a bunch of signs unless we find that that's the next step.
The next step is the sprinklers that hose you down when you start the car.
I mean, I think our big hope really, our big thing is to just open up this entrance so that you're not turning out of there and there's an Amazon truck right there, you know, where it
Unless it's for me.
yeah.
I don't order that much.
So, there's that, there. The other aspect of the Grove, and I could think of myself, is entertainment district, so let's go back to that. And we'll turn the time with Mercy to kind of give you an overview of the entertainment districts, what we've been talking about, and just let you know where that conversation is heading. You know, the big picture, you know, we as staff have made a list of different things that we need to tackle with the Grove, right? So, entertainment district is that first item. You know, a lot of this is predicated on the fact that Cricket Can is getting closer and closer to opening, and we need to be having a framework in place as they're opening. And there's other things that we're discussing, other policies that we will, you know, through the queue get to that we'll continue to loop you in on. So I just preface that to say this is the first of many conversations about different aspects of the Grove that we'll be bringing to you as we're kind of working through our list. So first, do you mind running through on your memo and kind of the map and all this stuff?
Yeah, so just kind of as a quick overview, you've got a sheet with some summary information in your packet as well as a map, which we'll get to in just a moment. We've had a number of good discussions with the full staff. All of us come to entertainment districts with a different background, policy, zoning, experience working in different communities, community identity building. So just as a quick recap, our entertainment district and entertainment districts in general allow for consumption of alcoholic beverages sold by licensed businesses within the area. So you can't go anywhere and get a beer and bring it to the Grove and drink it. But you can consume them outside the physical space of the business. So you could walk up to Grove Taqueria. I think they plan to have a margarita to-go window, knowing our entertainment district, so that you can enjoy it on the lawn while we have music programming and other things. So y'all passed the entertainment district in 2000. Downtown looks very different. We've got some good information from the businesses that are preparing to open there. And so there are a few elements of the policy that we're seeking your input on and planning to bring you in July for consideration, so that we can align with the opening of Cricket Can. To go back just a little bit though, y'all are probably aware a lot of communities in Gwinnett and across the state of Georgia are using entertainment districts. We've done some research in Ohio, North Carolina, and everybody kind of does it a little bit differently, but in Gwinnett, Lawrenceville, Suwanee, Sugar Hill have all implemented these along with other folks. And signage and branding are a couple of key elements. So we are working with a graphic designer to come up with a brand identity that we can use for cohesive signage, as well as stickers that indicate that someone's purchased a beverage. They didn't just bring a 6-pack and put it in their trunk and, you know, pass it off as actually making a purchase from our businesses. So we also have added the Greenway Trail, and that was part of discussion, how we integrate that, do we integrate that, that's what we're looking for your input on. But to get into the specifics of actual implementation, what we're proposing is to update the reference to the containers. Currently we reference paper and plastic only. We've heard from Crooked Can they plan to use aluminum potentially, so that they're reducing single-use plastics, etc. So we're recommending just changing that to no glass beverages, which we also list explicitly as a separate item in the code that we're proposing to change. Is there any feedback on that, or are you guys comfortable? Okay. Yes.
Just consider how that would limit if we ever have a wine business that comes into the grove.
Yeah. So they would still be able to serve in smaller plastic cups. We also contemplate serving, there are now a lot more mixed cocktails on the menu in the world that are canned. And so that's also part of allowing for aluminum. If we have a major event with a ton of people and have businesses that want to serve folks really quickly, we wanted to be able to give them that flexibility. You're buying it from a licensed business, they're gonna put the sticker on there before they send it out the door, and they've got flexibility, and people have flexibility of consumption. So the sticker is a big piece of it. That was something that I experienced when I was working at Sugar Hill and we introduced the entertainment district. So we explicitly call out in the proposed code change that businesses are required to affix a sticker. And that gives a quick visual representation. It makes sure people are consuming them from our businesses. And it also kind of lends to that brand identity and integrating all of it.
So do you anticipate it having specific language that the sticker is on the side, not the top or the bottom, so it's easily identifiable?
We don't include that now. I think most folks, if they're gambling their alcoholic beverage license, they're not gonna try to be tricky.
Okay.
And those would be affixed by the staff of the licensed establishments. We're not handing you a beer and a sticker and saying do what you want to do with it. So that's included in the proposed code amendments, and then currently legislation allows for consumption in entertainment district that mirrors just our overall alcohol policy hours, which we don't have any recommendations to change unless y'all feel so inclined. And I think we looked at Crooked Can's current operating hours of their Florida location. Nothing seemed to be outside of the realm of what you've already contemplated in the alcohol policy broadly, as well as the entertainment district. And then finally, the piece that we're looking for some input on, maybe a little more discussion as we have time, is considering amending the map of the entertainment district and the boundaries. So this can be done and updated in the future as we desire. So currently the small red line in the map that you see indicates the boundaries that exist based on the 2020 code. We are proposing or presenting for your consideration the addition of the green outline. So that would allow you to grab a beer from Crooked Can, take a walk at Sunset, walk back through downtown if it was added. And then the other areas we've indicated, the one outlined in yellow, obviously it's a property that we own and are looking to redevelop. We recommend adding that as we move towards redevelopment. Could be a marketing opportunity that it's a site that's included in an entertainment district. And then the other areas in orange, just continuing to keep those on the radar and updating as they change, bring in new businesses that might be wanting to take advantage of the entertainment district. So I want to recognize Jason, Brian, Matt, and Jan. It's been really wonderful to work on this together and everybody kind of bringing their ideas. We've had a lot of brainstorm sessions, and we plan to bring it back to you in July for consideration and get some stickers ordered so we can line up with Crooked Can's grand opening.
Since on here, it's the view is still showing the old funeral home, that's a cleared lot.
Mm-hmm.
We may want to consider taking that in. So,
Yeah.
so
That's a good idea
it
for now. Yeah.
promotes a more mixed use, hopefully for our, so I would toss that one in.
Well, you may even want to take it down even to the
corner.
to the corner.
Well, the only issue there is, do you want people wandering around the old mainstream building parking lot with a beverage in their hand?
That's true.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't, I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But
I think it just depends on what types of businesses are going.
Yeah, wait and see is a nice approach too, if it's, you guys can talk with Matt.
This part of that
Just
property,
stay
not
on
the whole
that.
property.
The whole shopping center. I think more from control and of current space, that would be a pretty
That's
large
really hard
area. what is the line in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could look at adding the full space.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, we felt it was a little more connected if you
I'm
could.
sorry, we got too many conversations.
The old gym, it's only half of that shopping center, not the Ollie's building, it's only that other side.
Oh, yeah, so
How
you're
do you-
talking
how
about
do you
adding
release
that.
that line, yeah.
Yeah,
Until, I think you wait
Not until it
maybe for
develops.
redevelopment until.
Yeah.
I was just curious
You-
why it was only half, but yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, basically because of the path. The trail ends right there, so we could
Okay,
even
yeah.
cut off if you wanted to put the old gym out of it until it's redeveloped, just to kind of not have to worry about policing that area. You could even just kind of line it.
But leave that Ryan's building in.
Yeah, and just bring that green line that juts out up in front of the building, so you know we already have issues back there,
Right.
people coming through, I mean, and then when that does redevelop in the rest of the shopping center, which will probably go together, and then you'll have,
Right.
you know, you can add it in because you want it.
So what Jason said was changing the lines on the map is really just a one action thing. So it's not a huge 3-month process to go and adjust the district
Just
if
you guys.
something were to come in.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of that is just, you know, it can be iterative, for sure, you know, as things redevelop and change, you can add it. I would just say, you know, it's easy to amend the map, but we're talking about signage and branding that would need to be out there, so it's
Oh,
things to think
Yeah,
about.
you got
Yeah,
that.
and I was joking with the chief about including the PD, but the green space that is next to the, whatever you want to call the road that runs next to the PD. We have that green space there and people might congregate there if we have an outdoor event. So we probably want to include that little piece or put a fence around it, one of that. Sorry, chief.
You can have more parking.
You need more parking?
So we'll take your feedback and we'll kind of revise. Kate, I think you have a question?
No,
We'll take what we've heard and kind of, maybe at, you know, if we see you all in Savannah, we'll give you a copy of what we got, kind of revise for you. You can think about before we. Yes, I guess I was. But that way when we come, you know, to July with, you know, a little more fully baked stuff, you at least, we're beyond the initial kind of discussion. So take a look at that, think about it. It can change, it can grow, but we certainly want to put that in your minds now.
Can you have like a mini retreat and you just focus solely on that?
Especially for work session.
I'm
Sure.
slowly putting the schedule together, so I'll reach out to you to see where that might be able to fit into the Savannah.
Advertise it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. All right, just move right along here, so sidewalks, they're working on the final pay app. Cycle program, so now we're in the prorating part of that now, so the May 31st was the 12 months is ended, so now we're, you know, people can sign up, it'll be prorated, you know, for the remainder of this year of this program. Just a couple follow-up items here, so under input on zoning development zoning guidelines. So we discussed this last time, the stormwater retention pond code amendment, so we will bring those back to you all to discuss and to look at more at the July 14th meeting. You know, Jason and his team are working on that now, you know, and the 14th will be enough time for us to get you something that hopefully covers our discussion and what we discussed last time. And then the other kind of other attachment that we've given you is we're working on a kind of a welcome page on the city website. This is born out of a conversation that we had at the retreat where we're trying to get information out to folks about who to call with certain issues, right? To know we have a recycling center, to know the P's non-emergency number, to know to come get a permit, you know, for structures and that sort of thing. And so we printed that out for you all to take a look at. What we, and this is just a draft, but what we've talked about is, you know, on the back of property tax bills, putting a little bit of information with a QR code, where folks could come and have all of that
Yeah.
information there. Brian's done a fantastic job on putting that together. So take a look at that and see if there's things that you feel like we're missing that you would like us to add. And I think that that will be our best way. So one of the things that we had discussed was maybe trying to create welcome packets for folks that came, you know, and localizing that to new folks that are moving in through Walton EMCs, you know, when there's for the power on, not they notify us. Well, conversations Walton EMC, they will not divulge that customer information. They just aren't comfortable doing that. And so this is our next best thing. If we can't target it, then at least we can create QR codes that can be shared on property tax bills, on future mailings, you know, where folks can come and see on the website the different frequently asked questions, where to go for things. The next goal, discussion among staff is getting that translated into Spanish. And we've got a growing Latino population in the community here, and so being sensitive to that. So take a look at that. And reach out to me if you have any additional feedback or questions on that, because that ball is moving, so I wanted you all to know that.
We may also want to look at, I know there's software that you can get that'll translate anything into any language. Because we've got so many, it's not just Hispanic,
That's right.
we've got, you know, a lot of
Asian code.
Asian and Ethiopian, we've got Nigerian, so there may be, I know there's software out there, I don't know how expensive it is.
Yeah, well, so that's some guy at BC2, they manage our website, they're,
Yeah, we can ask them.
let's try to see.
But these are all good things, I mean, we've hit just tonight on a lot of things that we'll be seeing a lot of these vendors down at GMA, so y'all stop in their booths and ask some questions.
Just package sales implementation, have anything in the courts?
Is there any like deadline or any timeline that the court has to do something?
Two terms is the outside.
What is
Two
that?
terms of
Two terms of
ours?
judge?
Theirs like 9 months. Well, but it depends on when you get it.
We creep it.
Yeah,
It's
already
like
blew past that.
Yeah, I would have thought we were beyond 9 months.
And then Briscoe Park, so sidewalks begun, they've moved the outdoor basketball courts and some of that parking where we had the old buildings there. We'll be working on some tree removal this week, they're moving along. I mentioned some of the you know, financing discussions that I've been having with GMA's bricks and mortar program. You know, this would really be more of a cash flow intervention as we're collecting SPLOST dollars. We don't have all that money in hand. It's collected over the period. It would be a way to take pressure off of, you know, potentially general funds as we're, you know, paying bills from general fund and then reimbursing it through the SPLOST over time. This helps with that. So we're very grateful, well, extremely grateful for the state and for the county with their assistance. The challenge with that is the county's CDBG money comes from the federal government, comes from, you know, Washington, and there just isn't a time. So it's a little over $1 million, which is a good chunk of money. There just isn't a time for them to get that money. So we would certainly be reimbursed, but the county cannot reimburse us for money they don't have. And I think last time we talked with the CDBG folks, Mercy, they said they didn't get the 2024's money until almost till the fall calendar year. They usually expect that in the summer. So usually you would be getting it around this time of year and be awarding it. You know, you all know that we signed a subrecipient agreement, which is the county's way of saying we're giving our portion of CDBG money to the city of Snellville for this project, and it kind of governs that relationship and reimbursement, all that stuff. So it's really a way for us to avoid having to put more stress on the general fund balance on paying and like that. So I would like to continue to explore that, with your permission.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do. Okay. Last thing, North and Wisteria, so the retaining wall 2 is complete. That's the retaining wall that's in front of Dr. Granavali's office there. If you know where that is, the sports clinic. And then grading is done on retaining wall number 1, which is a section of retaining wall that will go wrap around the Wisteria 1 building, there. So that there'll be a new lane, new right-hand turn that will be going in, will be retaining right there. And then most of the storm drains have been installed. There's one that will go under North Road that we'll install, there. And then utility work, all the different utility companies are kind of fitting in their relocations. And so they're making some good progress.
How's our splash pad going?
We found a leak,
Oh, good.
and our public works guys found it, so they did a big job.
So did they get a $13,000 bonus?
They would love that.
That's what Matt told me was gonna cost to have a company come in to find the leak.
I'm in the wrong
Fix it,
business.
So what we're gonna try to do, so that the diameter of the pipe, PVC pipe is 1 inch, and we're gonna try to slide in a 3/4 inch into that 1 inch pipe to kind of bridge that gap. And it goes under the road. So if we don't do that, then we're basically breaking the road up. Getting it all back
How'd you
together.
find
So
the
we're gonna
The
try.
leak is under the road.
Oh, yeah.
And followed the pipe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dug
So we're
down,
gonna-
tapped it off, turned it on, it wasn't leaking. It just went till we did have it leaking.
Putting a lot of valves in, cutting it off, turning the valve on, is running now, okay, well, then we know it's right here.
Good
And,
work.
so
Yeah.
We're gonna try that to see how that works, and,
Is there a chance that it will be working, repaired by the 19th?
we're gonna have it, we're gonna talk about this weekend.
Thank goodness, yes.
Hoping,
Okay.
waiting for waiting,
Okay.
and
If it works properly, the intervention will try.
hopefully that pipe's not crushed or something where we can't access through it.
Well, there's flow on the splash pad side, right?
That's what.
Well, we can do that. We got
Well, that
one
we
thing on
don't-
the
that we
agenda. If you wanna talk about your last thing, then you cut that off.
One of the cities recently here in the metro Atlanta area was switching over from .org to .gov because .org is not secure as far as being able to be easily spoofed, because any one of us can go online and pick up a .org. So just wanted us to start looking at potentially switching over from .org to .gov, as it keeps our citizens and our finances and everything a little more secure, because as we know, many jurisdictions have had Trojan horses and things, and that have shut down their financial capabilities for weeks at a time, and anything we can do to upgrade our security would be a positive.
Well, and to clarify on that though, the .gov and the .org are for the website extensions. So, and I think what you're saying is anybody can go up and sign up for a .org one. But if you're doing .gov, there's a little more vetting that has to go through to prove that you're a government.
Right.
Is that right?
Correct.
So it's more limited pool.
Correct.
It doesn't eliminate the plethora of ways for people to have Trojan horses and all of that, because that's just clicking on a phishing
Right.
email.
But it does make it harder for them to redirect traffic from
Yes.
our site to
To
a false site.
Like, yeah,
That's really where it comes.
yeah, okay, I just wanted to clarify that. The main thing is, y'all, we get a lot of bad emails.
Yes, yeah.
Todd said he got 2 more from me today, meeting for me.
Well, this week,
for
within the last.
to discuss a
Sensitive matter.
sensitive matter.
That's what he's doing with your regular emails.
So if you get one from me, ask him for gift cards, please. Ann Taylor is number, kind of like at the J. Crew Factory store. So
We'll keep that in
I can give you a list if
And
you
really easy, all you have to do is click on who sent it to you, and it says Barbara Bender, but when you click on it, it's from Let's 1629 at
Yeah.
Hotmail or whatever.
They're using AI too for scams.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all just be really careful.
Invoices from my email address saying you need to pay for your rezoning, and they went through and pulled the data off of our website from the case data, got the applicant, formulated the email. I had like 6 folks say, hey, we paid this bill. And I'm like, I know, you've been zoned for 2 years, you're good, but it comes from my email address too, and I had like high-level folks who are like, this is the best one I've seen, this isn't
So,
right.
so if your email address was a .gov, that would be harder for them. to
Yeah, I don't know
spoof.
how that security works, but it definitely was high level, not, hey, send me this.
Was it your actual email address? or
Yeah,
did
but
you
it
just
came
make
back,
it
it's spoofed. Yeah, spoofed of course, because then they
So
make
it's like
you go
people say,
into a payment
click on
system
it,
too,
it's
and once you're
somebody
inside
else's.
there, that's where they go to pay. But I was surprised, we did really good.
It's gonna get ahead of us.
You did?
Yeah.
You did?
Not enough, apparently, because nobody
All
fell
right,
for it.
I will take a motion to adjourn the work session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Todd, second by Norman, all in favor?
I think so.
Did you get my message?